Welcome back, fellow shop rats. Today we're going to be talking about poor life choices, bad decisions, poor judgment, and probably some parental disappointment. Duddy, I know you can relate. Today we're going to be talking about my 2012 Ram Hemi truck and the issues that are there and what I'm facing and the direction I'm considering going in the future for some of my main transportation. Hard decisions, but I think topics worth talking about here on Talk About It Tuesday in My Car Shop. Let's sit down, let's have a talk. I'm Mike.
This is My Cars Shop.
And I almost forgot. We have a package. We'll get to that soon. Let me go get my stool sample and we'll sit down and have a talk. If you've been around the channel for a while, you know the endless saga of trouble I've had with my Hemi truck since we made that trip to northern Michigan this last summer. We had transmission acting weird and we had check engine lights randomly coming on after we got back. And well, there's just been weird issues. And some of it we got sorted out and some of it we think we know what's going on. I took it in, got an official diagnosis on it. And well, from what it looks like, just to be clear where we're at, we're getting three codes. We're getting an oxygen sensor code very randomly, and that's on the right bank, but we're getting a number 5 misfire code, and we're also getting an oil pressure slash cam sensor ish type code for it as well. And I've done a lot of research. That 12 truck has what they call the MDS system, which is the multiple. It's the 468 basically going down the road under no load conditions. It shuts off 2 cylinders or 4 cylinders, opens the valves up on those cylinders, shuts off the fuel and the spark, so you get better gas mileage. It's great technology when it's working well. It also has the variable valve or variable cam timing for the same reason. So those two things work together to give you optimum power and optimum fuel mileage. So that's why that truck gets such lousy gas mileage. My guess is I've had issues with that for a while. When it's really working well, I get 17 to 20 miles to the gallon with it. Generally, I get 15. Lately, it's been about 6. So I did a bunch of research on it myself and learned a bunch of stuff. And finally, just after I got the starter fixed, I took it up to my buddy Mike, who's been the Mopar mechanic for 20 plus years, had him look at it. And he said that it's very common on these vehicles when they get high mileage on them like that, that those MDS lifters start sticking. So how that works, just so you know, is there's a solenoid that if I understand this correctly, and you guys will correct me if I'm wrong, I have no doubt of that. There's a solenoid that applies more hydraulic pressure to the lifters to cause those valves to open up so there's no compression, suction, all that stuff on those cylinders when it shuts the fuel and the spark off, so that those pistons are just free riding in there. Now, I think it's only one lifter. I don't know for sure. Doesn't matter. But that's how it works. And what happens with age is apparently those lifters get a little gummy and they don't go back to operating properly quickly like they should. And then you'll get a misfire like I'm getting on cylinder 5. So he went through and put some cleaner in the engine that he seemed to be beneficial. And then with his the computer thingy that you plug into your OBD2 port, he's able to exercise those lifters and he got them freed up. And it is better than it was. And the more I drive it, the better it is getting. But there's still really weird stuff going on with it. I randomly get that oil pressure cam code in there as well. And from what I understand, and I don't remember the spec, but when the oil pressure falls below a certain amount, the cam timing, variable cam timing, the VT it's called, shuts off and you get that trouble code. And from what Mike is saying, that's probably related to the lifter problem. We need to change the lifters. Mike's been my mechanic for close to 20 years. I've known him a lot longer than that. He's never once steered me wrong, ever. So I have total confidence that he knows what he's talking about. But the repair bill for that is over $2,000 because on the Hemi, you have to pull the head to get at the lifters. because there's no valley pan in that motor to get at stuff. The lifters are accessed through the head. Joys of technology. It's the same thing with the Viper motors. It's not a new design. It's been around for a long time, but it's not like the old world Hemis that, well, they were different. That's what I'm saying. So that's where I'm at with this. I'm in a holding pattern, using it very minimally, using it for light duty only, not hauling anything with it, and learning how to drive it to keep it from acting up so I can still get, that 17 miles per gallon. I'm trying to use the eco mode as much as possible, which is the 468, to get those lifters to exercise more. Maybe those cleaners are going to work. But I've been troubled by that valve timing code as well. But I trust his judgment. So I priced the lifters myself. I thought about doing the job. The lifters alone are over $500 because I'm not going to go in there and just replace the MDS lifters. If I'm going to go in there, I'm going to change them all because I sure don't want to have to do the job again. So the lifters are $500 plus head gaskets, whatever other gaskets we need. Probably looking at close to $1,000 in parts, plus another $1,000 or more in labor if I take it to somebody else. I've sold about as many body parts as I can to be able to afford the things I've needed for basic life needs in the last couple of years. So I don't have much left to give. So I'm at a point right now where I'm in a holding pattern, trying to decide where I'm going to source the revenue to fix that. Once I fix it, then we're going to move forward with some ideas I've got. We'll see. So here's where we're going, I think.
Maybe.
Probably.
Possibly.
Maybe not.
I've thought about just selling it like it is, but I wouldn't get much for it like that. Nobody wants to buy a truck that needs work. Truck's been paid for quite a while, so anything I sell is just recouping, what I put into it over the last 5 years. But it's a pretty clean truck. It needs a little body work on the fenders. My thought is fix the engine, get it running good, do the body work, touch up those fenders, and down the road it goes. But that leaves me in a position where I'm really without a dependable vehicle to pull my car trailer and for hauling wood. And now we have Becky's 88 farm truck. We'll be able to locally pull the car trailer and haul firewood and stuff like that. And that'll be on the road soon. There's episodes coming on that real soon. And I kind of kicked myself because when I bought that Hemi truck, I'd been looking for a long time. And I had a really nice 1990 Dodge conversion van that had fairly low miles. It needed lots of piddly little stuff, but instinctively I felt like this van, I've had it for a long time. I just felt like it was going to be needing some real major work. And I decided that something a little newer that could last me for most of the rest of my life might be a good way to go. So I spent a ton of money buying that Ram, and here I'm at now.
Well, poor decisions, regrets, bad life choices, disappointment, stuff like that.
I'm at a point in my life where I don't need another technology show. I own a tech business. I have a lot of technology going in a lot of areas of life. I'm just not sure that I want to own basically a computer with 4 wheels. And that's what that truck is. I know it's a little more than that, but I'm just rethinking my thinking here and sharing my journey with you. Once it's fixed, I may decide to take the risk and keep it. So don't misunderstand me. I'm just talking out loud here with you guys. The thought that I had is to sell that truck and try to get I don't know what it's worth, 12, 14 grand, maybe when it's fixed up out of it. Maybe it's worth more than that. I don't know. The truck market's all over the place. And look for either a mid 80s or a late 60s. I don't care for the 70s. Look for a pretty decent, not a rust bucket, but not a pristine one, crew cab pickup short box, 4-wheel drive. Put in a 12-valve Cummins, put in a super torquey big block with something I can stir the gears with a stick, preferably like a 6-speed with an overdrive, so maybe a Tremec. Something that I'm going to get pretty decent mileage with, driving around 15, 20 miles to the gallon, driving around in a 3/4 ton truck like that. Or a really good, strong, torquey small block, 360 maybe. But again, I don't think I want to go an automatic. I want something that has got a good, stout, overdrive stick transmission. Now, here's the thing about those trucks. they didn't ever really come with an overdrive. And because I'm looking at four-wheel drive, we're probably going to be looking at divorce transfer case to get a Tremec in there. I haven't done the research on that yet, but I really think there's something to be said about going old school. When I was going through the diagnostic part of this truck, I was talking with Mike, the guy at the shop. One of the things I mentioned to him as we were texting back and forth is I think my next truck is going to be a 1970 with points and a carburetor. And he's a professional mechanic and has been, he's a little older than me, so he's been around a long time doing this stuff. And he said, "Amen, brother." I know he feels it too, and he has to work on this crap every day, not just what I have to deal with. Now I could go out and get a new truck, but that's really not in the budget. And again, that's only prolonging the issue, because what I'm finding is that all these newer vehicles are just making you more and more dependent upon the professional mechanic and the dealership. And I'm a DIY guy. Now, I stopped working on my own cars about 20 years ago and started paying other people to do it so I could focus on these kinds of projects. But I'm just rethinking it because I still could take a 1968 Dodge, and I found one, by the way, a 1968 Dodge short box crew cab to a local mechanic, and they probably could work on it. And I know a heck of a lot more about that than I do a 2012 or newer Hemi truck with MDS and BT, and all the other alphabet soup it has in it. One of the most reliable vehicles that I have, my wife has I've made sure she has a super reliable, high quality, borderline luxury car, so that she sacrificed in the automotive realm for a long time. So she's got that really nice Countryman. But we've even had talks about that, because knowing BMWs, as they approach 10 years and more, they start getting expensive. And we may keep that for another year or two and pawn that off and look for something cool and old for her as well. Boy, it'd be hard to go from a $40,000 Mini down to a 68 Dodge Dart, but you know what I'm saying. And she's not against it. Don't misunderstand me. She just wants reliable. But right now we've got to deal with the truck. So this is my thinking. I found in Wyoming, I believe it was, a fairly rust-free 68 crew cab, short box, fleet side, complete truck. Doesn't run, doesn't matter, because I don't want the drivetrain anyway. I'm not even sure I want the axles. I believe it was a 3/4 ton, $5,000. Now, I know I would have several grand, and I don't have a truck to pull my car trailer to go anywhere to get anything, but hear me out. um, look for something like that after the Hemi's gone. Get by with Becky's truck for a while and go old school with, I don't want fuel injection. I want simple. I want something I can work on. I want something that's mechanical. So you guys will say, well, just go ahead and get one of those Phytex or that Holley Sniper. Or, no, I don't want a tech show. I want simple, something that I can work on with my eyes closed and not have to think about, something I know inside out, and something that I can fix on side of the road with a paper clip, some bubble gum, some duct tape, and a pair of pliers, and maybe a matchbook and a nail file. So that's my thinking. Drop your thoughts down there. What do you see? What are your thoughts? I know older vehicles, like I drive Scoops almost every day in the nice weather. I was driving it today, 300 horse, 20 miles to the gallon. How can you beat that? It's a fun car to drive. It's a handful, but I know what to do to make it better. And I don't drive it in crappy weather, but there's something to be said about thinking differently and going back in time.
Maybe we should drive the Oakland. No, we won't do that.
That'll do it for this one. Drop your thoughts down there, your comments. This one's a controversial one, I know, but let's see what you got on this one. Catch you on the next one. I promise. I'll be here. You should too. Oh, we forgot about the package. This package arrived just the other day, and it's probably not going to be any big surprise to you what it is, but there's a product that I use here on the channel that I go through a lot of, and I wrote to my rep the other day and said, hey, I'm starting to run out. Would you mind sending me a little more? And Jessica was very gracious to send me 3 more cans of the aerosol. I use this much more than the pump. It's probably because I only have to go instead of. I've been very clear to point out here on the channel that the difference between the aerosol and the pump is one has self-propellant and the other one's manual. Jessica also sent me a new hat, because this one is starting to. This is my go-to-meeting hat. But this will be my Sunday go to church hat.
If I went to church, which I don't.
All right, we'll catch you on the next one.
Rah!